I'm Matt Barnes, 14-year NBA vet and world champion with the Golden State Warriors. I know a little bit about what it takes to survive in this league. I made a living off of cutting from the weak side, cutting from the baseline, cutting right in front of you. I want to give these guys some tips to help them last and prepare them for what they're about to embark on. You're the leader out here. Point guards are like quarterbacks. People see the highlights, the Sports Center reels, the top 10 plays, but they don't understand all the behind-the-scenes work. College was more of a sprint, but in the NBA, it's a marathon. I want to take these guys through the full scope and give them an understanding of what it's going to take for them not only to make it, but last in this league. The film doesn't lie. Studying those guys to a T is the key. All these guys have a lot of accolades. College All-American, Big 12 Player of the Year means nothing. Son of a former player, they're coming for you. Coach K endorses you, he better be ready every single night. Can you live up to the hype? I'm Matt Barnes, and this is your wake-up call. I'm really excited to sit down and talk to Grayson Allen, hell of a competitor. Physically, body and his skill and his athleticism, I think he's ready to compete on that NBA level. I see a lot of the competitive fight and spirit I had in myself and him. I was labeled someone early on in my career who was dirty, but then once they got to know me and see me, they just realized that that was just my competitive, my spirit, my fight, the dog in me. And I see a lot of dog in Grayson, and I'm excited to see if it's really crazy, or is he just a competitor, or is he a nice combination of both, which is needed and lost in the NBA. And I'm gonna sit down and talk to Devonte Graham, Kansas Jayhawk, national championship, Big 12 Player of the Year. With everything he's accomplished in college, I'm excited to sit down and see how he feels like that's gonna help him transition to the NBA. We're gonna sit down and watch a little bit of film. So I really fell in love with watching film and understanding and studying film because I was always guarding the best players. All right, man, so you got the two different players, two different styles, two different programs, but at the end of the day, you know, you guys are both labeled as guards. So Grayson, tell me what it was like playing at Duke.
It was cool. I mean, my 4 years there, we had so much turnover each year from guys leaving and going to the NBA. So it was really a completely different team each year. So I mean, it was fun playing for Coach. Coach gives you so much freedom out there on the court. Shoot, get the green light, shoot, make plays. You know, we don't run a lot of set offenses. It's just making reads.
It's more pro, yeah, read and react.
So I feel like it was fun. And then playing with different guys each year, I had to do different roles and learn to play with other extremely talented guys.
Same question, you know, playing at Kansas and you guys are losing people to the draft every year. Tell me what that was like.
Coach gave me so much freedom too, and he gave all his guys freedom, depending on your role and stuff like that. So it was great.
So Grayson, growing up in Florida, were you a Gator fan? Who was your team growing up?
I actually grew up a Georgia Bulldog fan.
Oh, okay.
And my dad was from Georgia, so he made me choose the Bulldogs.
He made you choose?
Yeah, I didn't really have much of a choice, but I love, you know, that Georgia football. But once I really got into basketball, I became a Duke fan, and then...
Who were the guys you looked up to at Duke at that time?
Pretty much what made me be a Duke fan was JJ was going through his era right there. And then my 8th grade year, they won the national championship with Nolan Smith and John Shire on that team. And so watching them, I was like, man, I want to do that.
So when you left Florida to go to Duke, were people surprised? Did the Gators have a chance? Did any of the schools in Florida have a chance, or you knew Duke was it?
Once Duke offered, I knew that was it.
That was a wrap?
Yeah, but before that, because Duke didn't come in until late, Florida was probably like top 2, top 3 schools I was considering. So they had a real big shot, but once Coach K offered, it was
over.
Yeah.
Now, not to be discriminative, but when you start dunking and jumping the way, where did that come from? You had athletes in your family, you did some calf raises? Like, what made you start jumping the way you jump?
I honestly don't know where it came from. Like, I didn't have any athletes in my family.
When did you start dunking? Could you start taking off? Like, you've been dunking since you were in 3rd grade or something?
Like, I was barely dunking 9th grade. By 10th grade, I was like windmilling, doing crazy stuff.
And it just kept coming naturally?
Yeah. So it was actually fun because, you know, I'd walk out there and people would just say shooter, shooter, and then I'd drive by them and go for a dunk.
In your career, what was your toughest defeat?
This game sucked, this last one right here.
This game ended your career,
yeah,
right?
That's the one, and I had a chance right at the end of the game. That buzzer beater rolled around like 2 or 3 times. And then, of course, we went into overtime. We ended up losing in overtime, but I thought this team that we had this year was so talented. We could have done it, yeah.
So what does it feel like when your last 4 years has just been all Duke, 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 and then it comes to an end?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna miss it, but there was another part of me, you know, once I got over the season being over, that was like, all right, I'm ready. I did everything as far as roles go. So I think it was, I felt ready, like it was time to, obviously I had to, but yeah, see what's next.
What about you? You guys losing the Final Four your senior year. When that final buzzer sounded and your college career was over, what was your first thoughts?
I just couldn't believe it was over first. You know, you cry your heart out, and then my uncle just kept telling me, you know, you ain't got nothing to cry about. Like, your career as a whole, it was great, and you know, you just gotta hang your head on that. Like, you going out as one of, you know, a lot of people's favorite Jayhawks. So I just thought about it, and you know, a couple days later, I just had to refocus and get ready for this.
So tell me about this game right here. Feeling good? Obviously, you're known for shooting the ball, making plays.
Yeah, this was our first conference game of the season this year. Actually, our big fella, he wasn't feeling too good, had just did something to his back. So Coach Self had talked about, you know, we was gonna have to make a lot of shots, and we all just came out with the green light and was just letting it fly. So,
Grayson, I liked you because the dog in you, the competitiveness. I think some people sometimes misunderstand that as dirty or whatever they call it, but to me, it's passion. You know what I mean? And you're someone that, like me, you wear your emotion on your sleeve. Sometimes you get out of line and the coach or a teammate has to reel you back in, or you get a technical foul, but people that don't know basketball could take that as something negative. But me being similar to you, I saw it as just my teammates or my family, and every game I'll die for pretty much, and that's the way you play. All right, now we're gonna watch a little bit of film of your teams playing against each other. Kansas versus Duke. You guys remember this game, obviously?
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Last
Who won
game
this
I played
game?
in, he did.
He did. In the scouting report, what'd they tell you about him?
In that zone that we were playing, it was really, whenever he was up top, like the top, from the slots to right up top, I mean, if he was 3 feet behind the line, he had to be up. Yeah, so he made us, with him on the court up there, we had to extend our zone up, which was tough because then everything opens up in the middle.
And vice versa, what was the scouting report with Grayson?
It was shooter, shooter, shooter. Don't let him shoot. Let it go right. Keep him out the paint.
You know, Devonte, you and I touched on this earlier. The mental aspect is going to be a huge step for you guys on and off the court. So the one thing I think I would leave you with is just, you know, have fun throughout this process. You know, don't let the process overwhelm you. But understand once you get there, man, there's going to be hundreds of you up-and-coming yous trying to knock you off. You know what I mean? I was lucky enough to play 15 years by dogging rookies. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to come get my spot. So, you know, once you've made it, the next person is coming for your back. So just always keep that in mind, man. Count your blessings. But overall, man, enjoy it because it's going to take you to places you could have never imagined.